everybody. Today marks the first day of applying the concepts I learned over a period of 7 days. I have read the book The Courage to be Disliked, and I'm very excited to see how my mind is going to transform over these next 7 days. Thank you for joining me, and feel free to do this along with me. In the beginning, we learned that the concept mainly used in this book is called Adlerian psychology. And it describes the self being determined not by our experiences themselves, but by the meaning that we give them. Not to say that a traumatic experience can't affect the way we carry ourselves, but it's not a final determination of how we act or who we decide to be. For example, have you ever heard the story of the two children who grew up and one of them became an alcoholic and the other one became a hardworking man? And they were both asked, how did they get in that position? And they both said, my father was an alcoholic. Adlerian psychology says that the past has no effect on you unless you let it. One of the things that it states is that humans aren't controlled by emotions. So the book explains teleology, which means that everyone is living with a goal. So how that pertains to emotions is that when we let an emotion overtake us, there's a specific goal behind it. One example that the book gives is that there's a mother who's scolding her child. Yet when the teacher of the boy calls, her mood and her tone suddenly shifts to someone as nice. So with that being said, think about a time where maybe you were angry at someone, but then let's say your mom came in or someone that you knew came in, so you suddenly changed up your attitude. That's what this book is trying to get at. Personally, I struggle sometimes with my emotions as well, whether it's with my face. If I'm angry, you can really tell by my face and certain mannerisms that I have, and I don't like that, so I would like to change that as well. So I'm going to write a couple of things that I can work on and truly reflect and think about how I am in control of my emotions and how easy it is to switch up my emotions when certain people come into the room, etc. As I began writing, I first identified how I use anger in situations to try to bring about a desired goal. I began to think about the people in my life who I may showcase my anger to in times where I feel overwhelmed. I came to the conclusion that my anger was used with the goal to change the situation or to shame someone so that they won't do it again, or to bring about a feeling of leave me alone. But I realized that I can communicate using my words and not anger or trying to use manipulation, causing someone to feel bad to bring about a desired change. I began to think about a particular moment where my grandma had said something that made me feel a little bit angry. However, I didn't express that anger. Why? Because I understand she is older and has different beliefs. The same should go with everyone. Everyone can think differently about a situation, but it's important to understand that you are in control, and ultimately, what is done is your choice. Lastly, I began to think about biblical wisdom. Today marks day number 2, and we are going to be going over happiness and unhappiness. The choice is yours. In the book, The Courage to be Disliked, it states that at some stage you chose to be unhappy because you judged it to be good for you. The idea is that you can change at any time, to have the courage to choose a new lifestyle and a way of living. It all starts with the decision and no longer living in the, well, if only this or that, and making excuses. Today I realized something very important. As you can see, my glasses are broken, but sorry, I have hiccups, but I'll get to that story in a bit. But I realized that there are moments in my life where I feel unhappy, and it is difficult when I'm in that headspace to be happy and to truly find gratitude. But today I found that I had broken my glasses and I felt immense sadness and I felt so overwhelmed. But suddenly I realized in the moments where there is something to be happy about, I notice it, but I do not choose to act in a way that showcases that happiness. However, when my glasses broke, I decided, you know what? My glasses may have broke, but even when things were going good, I was still feeling moments of sadness. So I'm going to choose to be happy and to express that. I put on a song and I started dancing, and I felt like I could finally be happy again and to have control over my my joy. And Christ desires us to be happy. So it was like, in a way, taking back my power, deciding to be happy in moments that maybe there isn't a rainbow, deciding to be happy in moments where there is rain. And I believe that in moments where there is sadness and you choose to be happy is the moment where there will be overwhelming joy. When you're happy, you just feel that happiness and you flow and you're in peace. But when you choose to be happy, it's a different type of joy. So that was my reflection for day number 2, and I'm so excited to see what day number 3 will bring. Hey guys, today I'm thinking about how when you get freed from seeing other people as competitors, you live a better life and you can see the world differently. And I was just thinking about this, and we truly are all on our own paths. I personally believe in God, and I believe that He has a path for each of us. So if you think about it, why would we get jealous or begin to compare ourselves to other people's journeys when God has a plan for us? And if we're in line with it, He will help us. Even if we're not, He can still help us if we ask Him for help. So I was just thinking about that and how we truly don't have to be competitive with one another or even compete. That's something we would usually do in school. But when you have everything that you need with God, and you know that He's got you, and that His will be perfected in your life, and the good plans that He has for you, how can we be jealous of one another or think like, oh, I wish I had that? Our paths are each unique to our own, and God gives us the desires of our hearts if it's according to His will. So it's like a birthday. Everybody has a time for celebration. Maybe your time hasn't come yet, but maybe someone you know has. Give them their flowers, celebrate them, because their win is your win, and ultimately their win does not take away from yours. We can have the courage to see where we are at, accept it, and decide to do better. Hey guys, so me and my cat have wanted to talk about something. Just kidding, guys. But today is going to be about whether one likes you, it's not your task. So I wrote down some notes about what I really think about this topic, because honestly this is something that I struggle with. I personally believe in the power of rewiring the brain. I had to undergo this process when I was struggling with overthinking about the past. It was actually a form of OCD, and I learned that I would ruminate and think about things over and over and over again. However, it was just a cycle that I would undergo, and I had to learn that it wasn't just me. It was these processes that were happening in my brain automatically, and I was kind of just going through that constantly. And I had to learn how to change my perception about things, and also to begin accepting things as they are and not trying to control. So in a way, it helped me to accept things. Through this experience, I learned that I did not want to be overthinking or thinking about these things, but it was just the processes of my brain, and that I had to learn how to rewire my brain. And one of the ways to do that was to step out and act in a way that I was not used to, which led me to feel uncomfortable. I had to sit with uncomfortable feelings. That was one of the main things that I did while doing that. And lo and behold, I overcame that. Glory be to God. And I was able to get through it. But this goes back to my point. A lot of us are living lives that are not in line with how we want to live, but we try to fit it into how others want us to live. And one of the things that I've been really thinking about is that one of the biggest regrets that people have before they die is that they wish they would have lived a life more according to their values instead of other people's values. And it's very interesting because our lives, well, let's say we have around 100 years to live, right? 20 of those years we're being molded and shaped and understanding the world. The next 20 we're really out there making decisions for ourselves. Yet we don't live a life true to ourselves. And it's so interesting because everybody's opinion and understandings change within time. And that's why it's so important to live a life that's true to yourself. And I often find myself thinking, like, what will they think? But I'm realizing that this isn't me. I need to change the way that my brain processes and understands situations and understands who I am. I'm not a person that wants to conform to the way the world wants me to be, or friends or family. I just want to be me, you know? I think so often we try to live these perfect lives of, oh, like, this is what's going on in my life, I'm just going to show you the best. But we so often lose authenticity, and we just need to be creative. That's what really feeds us. A lot of us are trying to please everybody and think that it's going to make us feel fulfilled, or try to put up the perfect front, but it's draining. Well, why can't we just be ourselves and be true and authentic? And that being authentic, I believe that everyone has an opinion, and 100 people could agree with you and say, you know what you're doing is good. And then another 100 people could say, well, I don't like what you're doing, you should live this way. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, because what matters is what you decide to do. But if you're making decisions off of what other people want you to do, it really has no sense. At the end of the day, you're losing. And at the end of the day, it's not their lives. They're not the ones that are impacted. And every day they go back to their own lives solely thinking about themselves, what they're going to do, their decisions. No one's really thinking about you. You know, we have to realize we're not that we have to realize that we're not the center of the world. And that's something that's a little difficult to digest, because we're constantly living through the perception of ourselves. And we so often think, well, what's this person going to think? Or what's that person going to think? But no one really cares. Everybody lives their own life and everybody's doing their own thing. So why can't we just live true to ourselves? Oh my gosh, it's such a crazy question. It's such a beautiful question, because everyone's living for themselves. Everyone is living for themselves, and we should strive to live, to we have this earth, we have our families, we have our friends, and maybe they won't always agree with what we do in our lives, but we allow them the freedom to live as they please. We don't really intrude on them, or maybe we can try to give them advice of something that we think of, but we're not controlling them. And how often do you really think about how other people are living their lives or what they do for 10 seconds, and then you forget, you go back to your own world and your own life? So I think that we should all start living a life that's true to how we want to live instead of how other people want us to live. And also, I think a lot of us are trying to avoid the feeling of being embarrassed. But why don't we just accept it? Why can't we just accept being embarrassing when really we're just being authentically ourselves? We should strive to
we should strive to accept being different and creativity and creating content or putting things out there, because it's important. It's important to be creative and to express yourselves. And I think that Instagram should be a platform where you express yourselves. One of the reasons why I'm thinking this is because Sunray posted like this super funny video, and she was saying like, you know what, I'm not gonna care about what people think anymore. And I was like, that's right. Because how often do we read, oh my gosh, how often do we think about posting something or a picture, or how often do we think about, I gotta get the perfect photo or the perfect lighting? I've fallen victim to that, and I think about that. I think about the way other people perceive me. But at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal. No one's thinking about us like that, like crazy like that. And no one really cares. Oh my gosh. Everyone's just living their own lives. And at the end of the day, we can't control how other people perceive us, so it's kind of pointless. It's like a loophole of like a rabbit running on a wheel. The book also teaches us to live a life where we don't desire recognition, because people who desire to be recognized or are constantly searching that out from others is because they are not truly satisfied with kind of like who they are, or they don't have a true sense of worth, so they try to seek it out in other people. And that if they did feel like they contributed in like a way where because in the book it explains that worth could come from contributing to others. So if you are someone that constantly desires recognition through others, then you don't really have a true sense of contribution, because if you did, you wouldn't be searching that out. And that's what the book shows us. And I think it's very interesting. And I think that it is important to live a life where you don't really desire to be recognized, because where's the true, like, are you okay with yourself? Like, it is nice to receive recognition, but when you try to live for that and that is your only source of like meaning, life becomes very dull. Because what about the small things that you do for yourself, or just the little things that you do for yourself? Why do we desire to be recognized? It doesn't really do anything for us. And a lot of us put up a facade just to get some like, oh wow, good job, but it's not really how we're living. Why can't we just, like, if we need it, just get off and really search out what happiness means and how to live happily, truly to ourselves? Because maybe the reason why we desire to be recognized so much, or to be praised, is because we don't feel that way about ourselves, so we try to seek it out in other people. But then if we live a life like that, then how are we? It's going to become like a routine. We're constantly going to be like, okay, how can I kind of showcase this or make this like a big thing? And why can't we just live like quiet lives, like quiet lives, like simple lives, where we live in solitude and we just enjoy life? Because I think that's very important. I think it's important to have periods of time where you just get off from the internet and you put yourself in a space where you're just calm and peaceful. Because it doesn't matter what Wendy said about you the other day, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what she said or what she did. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's not really, like, it's not important. Wendy's living her best life. Why can't we live ours, She doesn't care. She doesn't care about what other people think. And we're over here like, what do other people think? Or desiring to be recognized. But can we just recognize ourselves? Can you just recognize how far you've come and what you've done? It's nice to be recognized, but don't forget to recognize yourself, that you've come this far, all this way. So yeah, recognize yourself today and give yourself flowers.
Hey guys, today I wanted to talk about community and contribution and the importance of giving back to your community, because through that you gain a sense of belonging and you can help one another and help each other grow. And in that, there's something so beautiful that happens when you begin to help another person, because it's like a cycle. When you help somebody, they feel led to help others, and we should help each other. You know, we're a community. We're all growing. It's we're all getting to the same place. There's no need to compete. And if you can give someone some advice that would help them or help them skip a rough patch in their lives, then why not do it? We are all in this together, and ultimately we are all growing and learning. I think one time that someone gave me some advice was when, throughout my generations in my life, academics has not been prioritized. For example, many of my family are young mothers, and not to bring them down or anything or to shame them. That's beautiful. Being a mother is beautiful. And my mother always advised me to go to school, to get an education. And she set my priorities straight. She helped me see what was important. She helped me see a world in which I could gain education, to connect to others, to build myself. And it has changed my life. I love academics. I love learning. If I would have never been exposed to this, then, or encouraged to, then I think my life would be completely different. And because of my mother's experiences and the generations before me, it led up to me being encouraged to go to school. And that's something I'm very, very grateful for. And I think that it's important to help one another, to advise each other, to learn. I think it's important to learn and to be able to guide one another in decisions that may ultimately change their life, and even advice that one wishes they would have done, so they pass it on to the other. Think about who has helped you today. Think about who has helped you today or in a certain moment in your life, how it's changed your life, and how you can impact someone else's life. Even if it's an encouraging word, smiling at someone. Think about how you can give back, because ultimately we are all connected, we are all one, and if one benefits, we all benefit. If one grows, we all grow, because it's like a cycle. So yeah, thank you guys. Today we are talking about dancing the dance of life, and the importance to integrate dancing not just as a physical act, but as the song of your heart into everything that you do. Whether you're going grocery shopping or doing a certain thing, talking to someone, or laughing, playing, running, dancing in the rain, whatever it is, dance the dance of life. Life is so beautiful, and sometimes we are rushing through it, and we don't take the time to really appreciate what we're doing or who we're with. So I encourage you guys today to dance the dance of life, to not go so quickly. And if in hard times, whether you're studying to be a doctor or entrepreneur, dance the dance of that thing. Dance the dance of being an entrepreneur, of being a doctor, of studying to be a nurse. Enjoy the moments, the quiet moments when you're in the library, the quiet moments where you feel like you can't go on anymore. Decide to pick yourself back up, put on a song, and listen to the music. Or dance the dance of life, whatever it is that your heart is pursuing, whatever it is that perhaps you feel is your God-given purpose. Run after it and seek it and do it with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul.
put your all into it. And don't forget that to take a moment to dance in whatever you're doing. To dance, to soak in the moment, to see the moment for what it is. And don't forget that after this experience, you will see things in a new way, in a new spectrum, colors. You know how some people can only, or we are limited in the colors we can see. There are more colors, but once you can see things for what they really are and change your mind, your perspective, you begin to see things in color. So go forth and live and love, dance, because we are put in this earth to experience, to love, to endure hardship, to encourage one another, to hope. I could go on. Those are just a few. But love your life, live it, enjoy it, and most of all, thank God for your life, for your beingness. Yeah. Bye, guys.